The stars looked different from Earth orbit. Captain Daniel West knew this as he stood on the observation deck of Earth Station 1. His eyes followed the bright light of an approaching vessel. It was not human-made. The ship's design was unlike anything he had seen before. Smooth curves and shimmering metal that seemed to change color as it moved through space. "Captain, they're requesting permission to dock," said Lieutenant Susan Ford. Her voice was steady, but Daniel could hear the tension beneath her words. After all, this was first contact. "Grant permission," Daniel said, "and alert Earth Command that our visitors have arrived." The world had changed 3 days ago when the alien ship appeared at the edge of the solar system. It sent a simple message, in perfect English. "Greetings from the Galactic Dominion. We come in peace." Now, as the ship connected to Earth Station 1, Daniel straightened his uniform. Humanity had prepared for this moment for decades, but no one really knew what to expect. The airlock door slid open. Daniel held his breath. 3 beings stepped through, tall with blue-tinted skin and large eyes that seemed to take in everything at once. They wore simple robes that flowed around their slender bodies. "Welcome to Earth Station 1, Daniel said. "I am Captain Daniel West, representing the United Earth Government." The tallest alien stepped forward. "I am Ambassador Zakari, representative of the Galactic Dominion." Its voice had an odd musical quality. "We are pleased to make contact with your species." Behind Daniel, a team of diplomats and scientists watched carefully. Among them was Lieutenant Nancy Blackwood of Earth Intelligence, her dark eyes never leaving the visitors. Over the next few days, the Zakari shared information about the Galactic Dominion, a coalition of 87 spacefaring civilizations spanning 3 spiral arms of the galaxy. They offered Earth membership, promising shared technology and trade routes. Admiral William Harris, commander of Earth's defense fleet of 150 ships, was invited to tour the Zakari vessel. He returned impressed. "Their technology is centuries ahead of ours," he told the Earth Council during an emergency meeting. The faster-than-light travel alone would change everything for humanity. President Maria Bennett nodded. "But can we trust them?" "They've made no threatening moves," Admiral Harris said, "and they seem genuinely interested in peaceful exchange. Only—" Nancy Blackwood remained quiet during these meetings, watching and listening as plans were made for closer cooperation with the Zakari. 2 years passed. Earth welcomed more Zakari ships. Human scientists worked with alien engineers to learn about new technologies. Faster-than-light engines were being tested on Earth ships. The first human vessel to travel beyond the solar system was scheduled to launch next month. But Nancy Blackwood couldn't shake her unease. "They share technology freely," she told her superior, General Paul Evans. "Except weapons. Don't you find that strange?" General Evans shrugged. "They're peaceful. Maybe advanced civilizations outgrow the need for weapons." "Then why do their ships have weapon ports?" Nancy asked. "They're well hidden, but they're there." "You're being paranoid, Lieutenant," General Evans said. "Don't ruin this opportunity for humanity with unfounded suspicions." Nancy didn't argue, but she didn't stop watching either. She set up monitoring equipment to track Zakari communications. Most were open and transparent, discussing trade and technology. But occasionally, encrypted messages passed between Zakari vessels. After months of work, Nancy finally broke the encryption. What she found made her blood run cold. The Zakari were not what they seemed. The Galactic Dominion existed, but its interest in Earth was not friendly. Earth was resource-rich, water, minerals, and a stable sun. The Dominion wanted these resources, not friendship with humans. The Zakari plan was simple: gain human trust, weaken Earth's military capabilities by encouraging them to focus on exploration rather than defense, then launch a coordinated strike. Major human population centers would be targeted first. Survivors would be reduced to a primitive state, easier to control and use for labor. The invasion was scheduled to begin in 72 hours. Nancy downloaded the evidence and rushed to General Evans's office. He listened, his face growing paler as she showed him the decoded messages. "This can't be right," he said finally. "It is right," Nancy insisted. and we have less than 3 days before they attack. General Evans called an emergency meeting of the Earth Council. Ambassador Zakari had been invited, but had sent a message saying he was dealing with internal matters on his ship. We have reason to believe the Zakari are planning an attack on Earth, General Evans announced to the shocked council members. President Bennett frowned. What evidence do we have? Nancy presented her findings. Some council members were convinced. Others argued that she might have misinterpreted alien communications. We can't risk our relationship with the Dominion based on this, said one counselor. The benefits are too great. And if Lieutenant Blackwood is right? Admiral Harris asked, quietly. If we do nothing and they attack? The council argued for hours. Meanwhile, Nancy noticed increased communication between Zakari ships. They were preparing for something. We don't have time for debate, she finally interrupted. They're moving up their timeline. I can see it in their communication patterns. President Bennett looked at the divided council, then at Nancy's determined face. She made her decision. Admiral Harris put our fleet on high alert, she ordered. All Zakari on Earth are to be quietly contained for questioning. We'll approach this cautiously, but won't leave Earth defenseless. Admiral Harris nodded grimly. Our 150 ships against their technology won't be much of a fight if they decide to attack. It's all we have, Sir President Bennett said. Let's hope it's enough to make them reconsider. What no one in the room knew, what almost no one on Earth knew, was that humanity had a secret. Deep beneath the surface of Mars, Neptune's moon, Triton, and several asteroids, Project Sanctuary had been quietly operating for decades. Dr. Gregory Franklin had convinced world leaders long ago that humanity needed a backup plan if they ever met hostile aliens. While Earth built its official fleet of 150 ships, the hidden shipyards of Project Sanctuary had built many more. As alarm signals reached Commander Olivia Summers at the Triton base, she opened sealed orders that had waited for this day. Her fingers moved across the control panel, entering authorization codes. Throughout the solar system, massive hidden doors began to open. Ships that had never seen starlight powered up their engines. The AI tactical system called Guardian established a secure network between all vessels. The Zakari remained unaware that humanity had built the largest war fleet the galaxy had ever seen. 900,000 ships armed with weapons developed in isolation, untested against alien technology, but built with human determination. The next day, Ambassador Zakari requested an emergency meeting with the Earth Council. Commander Olivia Summers had never seen the entire Sanctuary fleet deployed. No one had. For 20 years, she had watched the numbers grow on screens deep beneath Triton's icy surface, but seeing was different than knowing. Status report, she said, her voice steady despite the weight of the moment. All ships responding, replied her second-in-command, Captain Frank Miller. Guardian AI has established secure communications across all 900,000 vessels, weapons systems online, stealth, systems functioning at optimal levels. Olivia nodded. On the main screen, blue dots represented human ships, spreading throughout the solar system like a three-dimensional spider web. Red dots showed the positions of Zakari vessels, only 67 in total, but each carrying technology far beyond Earth's publicly known capabilities. Maintain stealth. No ship reveals position until my direct order, Olivia commanded. Meanwhile, on Earth, the council chamber was tense as Ambassador Zakari entered. His blue skin seemed darker today, his movements less fluid. 4 other Zakari followed him into the room. President Bennett, he said with a small bow, I understand there has been some confusion. President Maria Bennett sat straight in her chair. No confusion, Ambassador. We have evidence of your planned attack on Earth. Zakari's large eyes narrowed slightly. Evidence? I would be interested to see this evidence. Lieutenant Nancy Blackwood stepped forward with a data tablet. Decoded communications between your ships, plans for invasion, population control strategies, resource extraction blueprints. She placed the tablet on the table between them. Ambassador Zakari did not look at it. Misunderstandings can occur when different species communicate, he said smoothly. Perhaps you misinterpreted standard operational protocols. We didn't, Nancy said firmly. Ambassador Zakari's posture changed subtly. The other Zakari moved to positions around the room. I see. His voice lost its musical quality. How unfortunate. We had hoped to minimize damage to Earth's infrastructure. Your resistance will now require more extreme measures. He touched a device on his wrist. All ships, begin the cleansing protocol immediately. For a moment, nothing happened. Ambassador, Zakari touched his device again, frowning. Admiral Harris stepped forward. Is something wrong with your communication, Ambassador? Zakari's eyes darted around the room. A temporary issue. Our attack fleet will respond momentarily. President Bennett stood up. Perhaps you should see this. She nodded to a technician who activated the large screen on the wall. The screen showed space around Earth. At first, it looked normal. Then, one by one, stealth shields dropped. Human ships appeared everywhere, surrounding each Zakari vessel orbiting Earth, positioned near Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, and beyond. Ambassador Zakari stumbled. Backward. Impossible, he whispered. Not impossible, President Bennett said. Necessary. While you thought you were studying us, we were preparing. In orbit above Earth, the Zakari command ship was now surrounded by over 10,000 human vessels of various sizes. Its powerful sensors had detected none of them until this moment. On the command ship, High Commander Vex of the Zakari invasion force received increasingly desperate messages from his fleet captains. All ships report human vessels surrounding them, his communications officer reported. Thousands of them. Weapons locked on our positions. How did they build so many without our knowledge? Vex demanded. Our scans showed only 150 ships in their defense fleet. No one had an answer. The Zakari had monitored all official shipyards, all military communications, all resource allocation. Nothing had indicated this level of preparation. Back in the council chamber, Ambassador Zakari regained his composure. An impressive deception. But your ships are untested. Our technology is superior. This will merely make the conflict more costly for both sides. Admiral Harris shook his head. We're not looking for conflict, Ambassador. We're simply ensuring there won't be one. On the main view screen, more human ships continued to appear as they dropped their stealth shields. Destroyers, cruisers, carriers, and massive dreadnoughts that dwarfed even the largest Zakari vessels. 900,000 warships, President Bennett said quietly. Built in secret while you thought we were naive. Every ship equipped with weapon systems developed independently without the influence of outside technology. For the first time, real fear showed in Ambassador Zakari's eyes. The Dominion will not stand for this threat. It's not a threat, President Bennett replied. It's a guarantee. Earth will not be conquered. Earth will not be harvested. Earth will not be controlled. Commander Olivia Summers watched from her command center as the situation unfolded. Reports flowed in from all sectors of the solar system. Every Zakari ship now surrounded, outnumbered thousands to one. The Earth Council is requesting a direct communication link, Captain Miller reported. Olivia nodded, and President Bennett's face appeared on her screen. Commander Summers, the Zakari must understand our resolve. Authorization code, Sanctuary Shield. Understood, Madam President, Olivia replied. She turned to her tactical officer. All ships, drop remaining stealth shields. Full power to defensive. Systems. Weapons hot but locked. Throughout the solar system, the last hidden human ships revealed themselves. The Zakari now saw the full extent of humanity's preparation. 900,000 warships of every size and configuration, arranged in perfect defensive formations. On the Zakari command ship, High Commander Vex watched in silence as his tactical display filled with more and more human vessels. Orders, sir? His second-in-command asked. Vex was a practical commander. The Dominion had chosen Earth because it seemed an easy target, a young species just beginning to explore beyond their planet. The Zakari force of 67 ships had been more than sufficient for such a conquest, but this changed everything. Send word to the Dominion Council, Vex said finally. Earth is not as we believed. Request immediate diplomatic intervention. In the council chamber, Ambassador Zakari received the message from his fleet commander. His shoulders slumped slightly. It seems there has been a serious miscalculation, he said. The Dominion would be willing to discuss more equitable relations. Admiral, Harris smiled without humor. I think that would be wise. President Bennett's expression remained firm. You have 30 hours to remove all Zakari ships from our solar system. After that time, any remaining vessels will be considered hostile. And the Zakari currently on Earth? Ambassador Zakari asked. Will be escorted to your ships, President, Bennett replied. But understand this, Earth now knows the true nature of the galaxy. We will proceed accordingly. As Ambassador Zakari and his delegation were led from the chamber, Admiral Harris turned to Nancy Blackwood. Lieutenant, your vigilance saved countless lives today. Nancy nodded, but her eyes were on the screen still showing the vast human fleet. I never knew, she whispered. All those ships. Almost no one knew, Admiral Harris replied. That was the point. Beyond the orbit of Neptune, Commander Olivia Summers gave the order for the fleet to maintain positions. The Sanctuary Fleet was no longer a secret, but its full capabilities remained unknown to the Zakari. And as reports of the standoff began spreading throughout the Galactic Dominion, alarm grew among the 87 member species. Humanity was not what they had believed. The galaxy would never be the same. News traveled fast even across the vast emptiness of space. Within days, every world in the Galactic Dominion had heard about the human fleet. Facts mixed with rumors, creating a wave of fear that spread from planet to planet. On Zakaria, the homeworld of the Zakari, the Dominion Council gathered for an emergency meeting. The grand chamber, with its high ceiling and ancient stone walls, had never felt so tense. Grand Admiral Vex stood before the council, his blue skin pale with stress. The reports are confirmed. The humans possess approximately 900,000 warships. We detected none of them until they chose to reveal themselves. Council leader Traz leaned forward. How is this possible? No civilization builds such a fleet without using it for expansion. The humans claim it is purely defensive, Vex replied. They built it in secret, using hidden facilities throughout their solar system. And their technology? Asked another council member. Unknown, Vex admitted. Their ships appear less advanced than ours in some ways, but their stealth capabilities exceeded anything we've encountered, and they developed everything independently, without access to Dominion knowledge. A murmur ran through the chamber. Most species joined the Dominion to gain access to its technology. The idea of a species developing advanced spacefaring capabilities alone was unusual. What do they want? Traz asked. For now, they only demanded we leave their solar system, Vex said. They have made no moves beyond their borders. Traz's large eyes narrowed. Yet. Meanwhile, aboard the Earth Defense Station, President Bennett met with military and intelligence leaders. Admiral William Harris provided updates on the Zakari withdrawal. All Scary ships have left the solar system as demanded, he reported. Our long-range sensors are tracking them returning to Dominion space. President Bennett nodded. And our fleet? Commander Olivia Summers, now brought from Triton to join Earth's leadership, answered. 80% have returned to their hidden bases. The rest remain on patrol throughout the system. Good, President Bennett said. We've shown our strength, but we don't need to be provocative. Lieutenant Nancy Blackwood cleared her throat. Madam President, we're intercepting massive amounts of communication throughout the Dominion. Every species is discussing Earth. Many are afraid. Afraid? President Bennett frowned. We've made no threats. It's not what we've done, Nancy explained. It's what they think we might do. No species has ever revealed such military power without using it for conquest. Dr. Gregory Franklin, the elderly scientist who had first proposed Project Sanctuary decades ago, spoke up. They judge us by their own history. The Dominion was formed when the Zakari conquered neighboring systems. Other species joined either through conquest or for protection. President Bennett considered this. So they expect us to behave as they would. Precisely. Dr. Franklin nodded. And that makes them dangerous. Fear often leads to preemptive action. Days passed. Earth established a new defense perimeter at the edge of the solar system. Commander Summers oversaw the deployment, ensuring that any approach to Earth would be detected instantly. On patrol near Neptune, Lieutenant John Peterson commanded a small destroyer, the EDF Vigilant. His crew of 30 was still adjusting to their new reality, no longer hidden, but openly defending Earth. Contact, reported sensor operator Kelly Wilson. Single ship approaching from Dominion space. John straightened in his command chair. Identification? Not Zakari, Kelly replied. Different design, smaller, appears to be a diplomatic vessel. Alert command, John ordered. Maintain position but ready weapons. The strange ship slowed as it approached the boundary of the solar system. It made no aggressive moves, simply waiting. At Earth Command, Admiral Harris received the report. Another species, he told President Bennett. They're requesting permission to send a diplomatic mission to Earth. Who are they? The President asked. Nancy Blackwood consulted her data. The Aloran Confederation. According to Zakari records, they're a peaceful group of worlds on the far side of the Dominion. They've been under Zakari influence for centuries, President Bennett thought carefully. Allow one ship to approach Earth. Heavy escort at all times. 3 days later, the Aloran ship docked at Earth Station 1. Unlike the tall, blue-skinned Zakari, the Alorans were shorter than humans, with gray skin and 4 arms. Their ambassador, Kelev, moved with careful, precise gestures. We thank you for allowing this meeting, Kelev said to the Earth delegation. The news of your fleet has changed everything in the galaxy. President Bennett studied the alien carefully. We built our fleet for protection, not conquest. So you say, Kelev nodded. And yet the question remains, what will you do with such power? Defend ourselves, President Bennett replied simply. Nothing more. Kalev's large eyes blinked. Slowly. For thousands of years, the Dominion has controlled our trade, our resources, our development. Many worlds suffer under their influence, but have no choice. That is unfortunate, President Bennett said. But Earth does not interfere in the affairs of other worlds. Perhaps you should, Kelev suggested quietly. The meeting continued for hours as Kelev explained the true nature of the Dominion, not a coalition of equals, but an empire ruled by the Zakari and a few powerful allied species. Most member worlds had little choice in their membership. When the Aloran finally departed, Earth's leadership had much to consider. They want us to challenge the Dominion, Admiral Harris said once Kelev had gone, to become their protector. Or replace the Zakari as galactic rulers, Dr. Franklin added. Power creates temptation. President Bennett shook her head. We won't be drawn into their politics. Our fleet exists to protect Earth, not to police the galaxy. Meanwhile, across the Dominion, other species were making their own plans. Some began building up their military forces, inspired by Earth's example. Others sought to establish direct contact with humans, hoping for new alliances. The Zakari, humiliated by their failure at Earth, faced growing challenges to their authority. For the first time in centuries, member worlds openly questioned Zakari decisions. Commander Olivia Summers received increasingly concerning intelligence reports. Multiple species are mobilizing their fleets, she told President Bennett during a secure briefing. Some appear to be preparing for conflict. With us? The President asked. With each other, Olivia clarified. The balance of power is shifting. Throughout the Dominion, Earth has become a symbol of resistance. Dr. Franklin looked troubled. We revealed our fleet to prevent a war. We may have started something much larger. As if confirming his words, alarms suddenly sounded. Admiral Harris checked the incoming data. Multiple ships just entered the outer solar system, he reported grimly. Not Zakari, not Aloran, a different species altogether. On the main screen, dozens of angular vessels moved with purpose toward the inner planets. They're not responding to communication attempts, Nancy Blackwood said. And they're heavily armed. President Bennett's expression hardened. Commander Summers, deploy the fleet. Admiral Harris, prepare Earth's defenses. Throughout the solar system, hidden doors once again opened. Humanity's 900,000 warships began to emerge from their secret bases. Earth had hoped for peace, but was ready for whatever came next. The unknown ships slowed as they approached Jupiter. There were 53 of them, each with sharp angles and dark metal hulls that absorbed light rather than reflecting it. They moved in perfect formation. In Earth's command center, tension filled the room. Admiral William Harris studied the tactical display where thousands of blue dots representing human ships converged on the intruders. Still no response to our communications, reported Lieutenant Nancy Blackwood. President Maria Bennett stood beside the Admiral. How many ships have we deployed? 10,000, Commander Olivia Summers answered. More than enough to contain the situation without revealing our full capabilities again. On the main screen, the alien vessels suddenly stopped moving. They arranged themselves in a circular pattern and remained stationary. They've taken up position near Europa, Admiral Harris noted. No weapons charged yet. President Bennett frowned. Why Europa? Before anyone could answer, a new signal appeared. It was coming from the lead alien ship, but it wasn't directed at Earth. Instead, it broadcast in all directions, a powerful transmission meant for the entire galaxy to hear. We're receiving a transmission, Nancy said. It's being sent on all frequencies. Let's hear it, ordered President Bennett. Harsh mechanical voice filled the command center. Attention, humans. We are the Krator. We have observed your deception of the Dominion. We respect strength and cunning. We propose alliance. Together, we will rule the galaxy. You have one Earth day to respond. Acceptance brings prosperity. Refusal brings destruction. The message repeated 3 times, then silence returned. The Krator, Dr. Gregory Franklin said quietly. The Zakari records mentioned them, a highly militaristic species from the outer regions of the Dominion. They've been fighting against Zakari control for centuries. And now they want us as allies, Admiral Harris said. President Bennett shook her head. They want our fleet to help them overthrow the Dominion. They see us as conquerors just like them. Commander Summers checked incoming reports. Our ships have surrounded their fleet, waiting for orders. Open a direct channel to their lead ship, President Bennett instructed. When the connection was established, the President spoke clearly. This is President Maria Bennett of Earth. We acknowledge your message but reject your proposal. Earth has no interest in ruling the galaxy. Our fleet exists solely to protect our world, not to conquer others. There was a long pause before the response came. The same mechanical voice replied, disappointing. Your decision is unwise. The galaxy respects only power. Those who will not use their strength do not deserve to keep it. The transmission ended abruptly. On the tactical display, the Krator ships began to move. They're charging weapons, Admiral Harris reported. Taking offensive positions. President Bennett's expression hardened. They came looking for a fight. Show them exactly what they're facing. Commander Summers nodded and gave the order. All ships defensive formation Delta. Weapons free but fire only if fired upon. The human fleet responded instantly. The 10,000 ships that had initially responded were joined by 30,000 more, emerging from behind Jupiter's moons and from the asteroid belt. They formed a perfect 3-dimensional web around the Krator vessels, closing all escape routes. On the lead Krator ship, Supreme Commander Draz observed the human deployment with growing concern. What had been a manageable number of enemy vessels had suddenly tripled. His tactical officer was providing continuous updates. Human ships are still arriving, the officer reported. Our weapons have limited effect on their shields based on simulations. Draz had not expected this. The Krator had built their reputation on bold action and intimidation. Few species dared to resist them openly. These humans were either very brave or very foolish. Target their largest vessel, Draz ordered. Full weapons. Show them our power. The Krator flagship fired, its energy beam striking a human dreadnought. The human ship's shields flared bright blue but held firm. In Earth's command center, Admiral Harris watched the attack. Shield strength at 87% on the EDF Defender. No significant damage. Return fire, Commander Summers ordered. Single ship, minimal force. Warning shot only. A human cruiser fired a precise beam that struck the Crador vessel that had attacked. The Crador ship's shields collapsed immediately, and its hull showed visible damage. Their technology is less advanced than the Zakari, Dr. Franklin noted. Impressive looking but lacking in actual capability. The Crador ships began to move erratically, some trying to retreat, others turning to fight. The human fleet maintained its formation, easily adjusting to contain the aliens. Supreme Commander Draz could not believe what he was seeing. His flagship's shields were down, and 3 more of his ships had taken damage. The humans had barely used any of their firepower, yet were clearly superior. "This is Supreme Commander Draz," he transmitted to Earth. "There has been a misunderstanding. We came seeking peaceful alliance." President Bennett responded immediately. "Your weapons fire suggests otherwise, Commander. You will power down all systems and prepare to be escorted out of our solar system." On the Crador flagship, Draz turned to his second-in-command. "How many human ships are we facing now?" "At least 40,000, came the reply, "and more are still arriving." Draz made his decision. "Power down weapons. We cannot win this fight." The Crador ships shut down their weapons systems. One by one, their engines powered down as well. In Earth's command center, Nancy Blackwood monitored the communications flooding through Dominion space. "The Crador have sent messages to their homeworld," she reported. "They're describing our fleet, our technology. The information is spreading quickly." President Bennett nodded. "And what will the galaxy learn from this?" "That we defended ourselves without conquering," Admiral Harris said. "That we used appropriate force instead of overwhelming destruction. And that we have even more ships than the Zakari thought," Commander Summers added. "The Crador will report that we deployed 40,000 vessels." Dr. Franklin smiled slightly. "Let them wonder how many more remain hidden." 3 days later, the Crador fleet was escorted to the edge of the solar system by a human force 5 times its size. Before departing, Supreme Commander Draz requested a final communication with Earth. "You have won today," he told President Bennett. "But the galaxy is changing. The Dominion weakens. New alliances form. You cannot remain neutral forever." "We have no desire for galactic politics," President Bennett replied. "We only wish to live in peace." Draz made a sound that might have been laughter. "Peace requires strength. You have shown yours. Others will continue to test it." As the Crador ships disappeared into deep space, Admiral Harris turned to the President. "He's right, you know. This won't be the last challenge we face." President Bennett looked at the stellar map showing Earth's solar system, now surrounded by thousands of defensive satellites and patrol ships. "Then we'll be ready. Not as conquerors, but as defenders." On worlds throughout the Dominion, leaders watched and waited. Some with fear, some with hope. All wondering what Earth would do next with its mysterious fleet of 900,000 warships. 6 months passed since humanity revealed its massive fleet. Earth had changed. People walked with new confidence, knowing their world was protected by the largest defense force in known space. But with that security came responsibility. President Maria Bennett stood at the window of her office looking at the night sky. Stars that once seemed distant and unreachable now represented worlds with their own problems and politics. Worlds that increasingly looked to Earth for leadership. "Madam President, they're ready for you," said her aide. The President nodded and made her way to the newly constructed Galactic Affairs building. Inside the main chamber, representatives from 23 alien species waited. Some she recognized: the gray-skinned, four-armed Elrons, the tall blue Zakari, even a delegation from the Crador, with their sharp features and dark eyes. Others were new to Earth, having requested diplomatic relations in recent weeks. Admiral William Harris stood at the entrance. "Quite a gathering," he said as the President approached. The first of many, I expect, President Bennett replied. How is the security? Commander Summers has 5,000 ships in Earth orbit, the Admiral said. Another 20,000 throughout the system. The rest remain at their bases, ready if needed. The President took her place at the center of the circular table. The alien representatives fell silent. Welcome to Earth, she began. This summit represents a new chapter in galactic relations. For too long, the Dominion has operated through force and fear. Today, we begin building something better. The Zakari representative, not Ambassador Krell, who had tried to invade Earth, but a new diplomat named Solara, spoke first. The Dominion Council has authorized me to express regret for our previous misunderstanding with Earth. Several representatives made sounds that might have been laughter. The Dominion offers Earth full membership with all associated benefits. Solara continued. Your independence would, of course, be respected. President Bennett smiled politely. Earth appreciates the offer but must decline. We prefer to establish our own path in galactic affairs. The chamber buzzed with conversation. Earth rejecting Dominion membership was unprecedented. Smaller, weaker worlds had begged for such recognition. The Aloran representative, Kelev, spoke next. 6 months ago, Earth stood alone against Dominion aggression. Today, the Aloran Confederation formally proposes a new alliance, the Galactic Cooperative, based on mutual respect and true independence for all member worlds. One by one, 11 other representatives voiced support for this proposal. The remaining species watched carefully, weighing their options. The Krator representative, a stern female named Zara, leaned forward. The Krator Empire acknowledges Earth's strength. We no longer seek dominance but partnership. We would join this cooperative if our sovereignty is guaranteed. President Bennett observed the shifting alliances with careful attention. Earth had not asked for this role, yet here they were, at the center of a galactic restructuring. Earth will join the Galactic Cooperative, she announced. As equals, not rulers. Our fleet will defend member worlds against aggression, but we will not interfere in internal affairs. The summit continued for 3 days. Treaties were signed. Trade agreements established. Defense protocols created. When it ended, the galaxy had changed forever. 2 weeks later, Commander Olivia Summers stood on the bridge of Earth's newest vessel, the EDF Unity. At over 3 kilometers long, it was designed not for war, but for diplomacy, a traveling embassy that could visit member worlds of the new cooperative. System check complete, reported Captain Lisa Howard. All green. Very good, Captain, Olivia replied. Begin departure sequence. The massive ship moved gracefully away from Earth. For the first time, humans would travel beyond their solar system, not as explorers or warriors, but as diplomats. Meanwhile, in a secure facility beneath Pluto's surface, Dr. Gregory Franklin worked on his final project. At 87 years old, he knew his time was limited. The room was filled with advanced technology, much of it beyond even what Earth had revealed to its new allies. Lieutenant John Peterson, now promoted to captain after the crater incident, watched the old scientist with respect. Will it work, Doctor? In theory, Dr. Franklin replied, making adjustments to a complex device. The continuum shield would create a bubble of altered space-time around Earth. If we ever face a threat our fleet cannot handle, we could activate it. Making Earth completely unreachable, John said. A last resort. Precisely. Dr. Franklin straightened up with effort. Humanity has revealed much of its strength, but not all. We must always keep something in reserve. On the other side of the galaxy, the remaining Dominion Council gathered in emergency session. Many member worlds had left to join the new cooperative. Others threatened to follow. We must rebuild our influence, argued one counselor. The humans have upset the balance that maintained order for thousands of years. Council leader Traz, who had ruled the Dominion for centuries, looked tired. Perhaps it is time for change. The old ways brought stability through fear. The humans offer stability through respect. And their fleet? Asked another counselor. 900,000 ships. We've only seen 40,000 in action. What if they decide to use the rest for conquest? Then we would fall, Traz said, simply. But I do not believe that is their intention. They have had many opportunities to expand through force. They have chosen cooperation instead. Back on Earth, President Bennett addressed the United Earth Congress on the one-year anniversary of first contact. 1 year ago, we learned we were not alone in the universe, she said. We faced threats, revealed our strength, and changed the course of galactic history. The sanctuary fleet built to protect Earth now helps maintain peace across dozens of worlds. She paused, looking at the assembled leaders. But our greatest strength is not our ships or weapons. It is our humanity, our ability to stand firm against aggression without becoming aggressors ourselves, our willingness to use power responsibly rather than seeking dominance. Across the chamber, Dr. Franklin listened with a small smile. The old scientist had dedicated his life to protecting Earth. He had built a fleet that made the galaxy stand in awe. But humanity's true gift to the stars was something no one had expected, a new way forward. In deep space, at the edge of what was once Dominion territory, a patrol of human and Aloran ships monitored the border. Captain Frank Miller of the EDF Vigilant received a transmission from a former Dominion world requesting membership in the cooperative. Another one, he told his crew. That makes 37 worlds this month. His Eloran second-in-command nodded, thoughtfully. They no longer fear the Dominion. Now they seek what Earth represents. And what's that? Frank asked. Hope, the Eloran replied. Your ships brought fear to those who ruled through fear, but your restraint brought hope to everyone else. As stars wheeled slowly overhead, humanity's fleet continued its watch. King, 100,000 ships, most still hidden in their bases, waiting if needed. A shield not of conquest but of protection, a force that had made the galaxy stand frozen in amazement and then helped it move forward into something new.